Welcome back, everybody, to the Miami Marlins franchise here on MLB The Show 23. I am so appreciative for all the support I've gotten on the first episode of this series so far. I'm glad that you guys are as excited as I am to get this thing rolling. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new for more MLB The Show 23 content. And of course, don't forget to use code Octagonal Gaming for $20 off your first SeatGeek order. Today, we will get through the first few weeks of the 2023 season as we start with our season and home opener against the division rival New York Mets. Expectations are not very high for our Miami Marlins as we are projected to finish in 4th place in the National League East. And hopefully our young guys can shock the world, and that starts with a strong opening to the first few weeks of the season. In the last episode, we did our full roster breakdown. We went over all the guys on this team, and I laid down the overview of what to expect with this series. And I'm currently working on more twists and storylines that you guys are going to see in future episodes coming soon. I think we're going to make it through the Giant series today while playing 2 games. I do want to point out that I have fixed the roster. The original roster was pretty bad, so I've added a lot of the missing prospects or other missing players. And I also added players to our farm system as well. They were missing a number of the Marlins' key prospects, such as Jacob Miller and Carson Milbrandt in the rotation, and then solid position players like Joe Mack. Recent international free agent signing, Jose Gerardo. I've read very good things about him. And the guy I'm most excited about is Gennaro Miller. He is a 17-year-old two-way player. I'm excited to really go into more detail about Miller along with all of our minor leaguers once we really start diving into some minor league games, which will be in a couple episodes from now. But at the moment, we're really focused on the big league team and the start of the regular season. I also added some of the guys from the World Baseball Classic as well. I thought it'd be fun to put them on some teams too, so they are now in the league as well. Let's take a look at our opening day lineups. This is what we're going to be rolling with against right-handed pitchers to start this season. Our everyday players will be Arise, Segura, Chisholm, Cooper, Gurriel, and Fontes. We're going to have our corner outfield spots platoon against righties and lefties, along with the shortstop position as well. And that'll change based on who's playing well and who's not playing well. As for the rotation, Sandy Alcantara will be the ace, followed by Rogers, Luzardo, Cueto, and Cabrera. We've got a really young and fun group of starting pitchers, which I think is certainly the strength of this roster, and the bullpen hopefully will have a pretty solid season as well. So we'll get things started here with opening day against the New York Mets, who were great last year. They won around 100 games. They were in the lead of the National League East the entire season before hilariously flopping right at the end, losing out on the division to the Braves, and losing in the first round of the playoffs to the San Diego Padres. The Mets certainly have big expectations as they aspire to be a potential World Series contender this year. So we've got our hands full here on opening day. But I'm excited to see our first look at this Marlins team led by the ace of the staff, Sandy Alcantara, who is getting to the pitcher's mound now. Let's take a look at both lineups 1 through 9. Regular starters for both teams today. Nobody's fatigued or injured because it's opening day. So because of that, both teams are trotting out their best guys. Really excited to see what these young players can do. Jazz Chisholm, of course, Jesus Sanchez, Luis Arise, and others. Here is Sandy Alcantara, last year's National League Cy Young winner. Put simply, he was the best pitcher in baseball a season ago. Nearly 230 innings pitched, 2.28 ERA, sub-1 whip. He was absolutely phenomenal, and I'm really excited to be able to build around him as the ace of the staff for at least the next 5 seasons. Starling Marte leads the game off of a grounder to short. Joey Wendell makes the play, and that is the first out of this series. That'll bring us to the number 3 hitter, Jeff McNeil, one of the best contact hitters in the National League. 2-1 pitch. McNeil hits this one high and deep into right center field. Back at the track, at the wall, it is caught! What a play out in center field by Jazz Chisholm, scaling the wall like Spider-Man to come down with it. We got to look at that play again. What a grab by Jazz Chisholm in his first game in center field with a ridiculous play to wrap up the first inning. Wow, what a grab. Let's take a look at the Mets starting pitcher, Justin Verlander, the American League Cy Young winner last year. If Sandy Alcantara wasn't the best pitcher in the majors a season ago, it was Justin Verlander, who turned back the clock, coming back from Tommy John surgery. Luis Arraez leads it off for the Marlins, and he singles into right center field. Arraez won the American League batting title last year with the Twins and was traded in the offseason to Miami. That'll bring up the free agent signing, Jean Segura. He hits it weakly over to the pitcher. Verlander to Lindor to Alonso. A 1-6-3 double play as the Mets turn 2. Good work by the New York infield, and that'll bring us into the second. Big Meat Pete Alonso strikes out on the fastball. Nice pitch from Sandy Alcantara, his first strikeout of the game. Brandon Nimmo lines it into left, and it is caught pretty easily by Brian De La Cruz. 2 strong innings to open up the ball game from Sandy Alcantara. No score as we go into the bottom of the second. We'll see if the Marlins can get on the board. Garrett Cooper, a first-time All-Star a year ago, is up for the Marlins, and he strikes out on the slider. Nice pitch by Justin Verlander. That'll bring up the young outfielder, Jesus Sanchez. He's got a 2-2 count. Pitch on its way from Verlander. Got him looking on the low fastball. Sanchez was pretty disappointing last year in 2022, but at only 25 years old, he's got a lot of room to grow. Brett Beatty lines it to the pitcher. Nice play by Sandy Alcantara for the first out of the inning. Beatty, meanwhile, a big-time prospect within the Mets farm system. That'll bring up Mark Canha. He will draw a walk on the high sinker, and the Mets get their first base runner of the ball game. That'll bring up the catcher, Omar Narvaez. He's been one of the better hitting catchers over the better part of the last 5 years as he singles into right center field. Canha will advance to third. So the Mets now have runners on the corners with the top of the order due up. This is a big opportunity for New York to capitalize and put themselves on the board. The former Marlins, Starling Marte, will go down looking on the circle change. Nice pitch by Alcantara. We'll see if he can get out of the inning. Facing off against Luis Guillorme. The 2-2. This one is popped into shallow left. De La Cruz chases after it, and he will come down with it. So the Mets do get a couple of base runners, but they leave 2 aboard. 3 scoreless innings to start off opening day from Sandy Alcantara. Still no score as we go into the bottom of the third in what has certainly been a pitcher's duel thus far. The catcher, Nick Fortes, hits that one well into center for a base hit, and the Marlins have a runner on base here with 1 away. Fortes is really young, only 25 years old, certainly hoping he can take a step up in his development this upcoming season. 2 away for Luis Arraez. He hits it well into right. That'll go for a hit. So the Marlins now have 2 runners aboard. We'll see if they can drive these guys in and potentially take the first lead of the game. The veteran, Jean Segura, is up for Miami. He grounds it to second, fielded easily, and that will wrap up the inning. No score through 3 in what has been a pitcher's duel so far between the 2 reigning Cy Young winners. We'll see if either team can get their first runs here in the 4th as Polar Bear Pete swings and misses at the slider. Sandy Alcantara continuing to dominate. The Mets have not been able to get anything off of him. Bottom 4, here is Garrett Cooper, who hits this one high and deep into left field. Back at the track, at the wall, it is gone! Solo home run for Garrett Cooper. And the Miami Marlins are on the board. They lead it 1-0. Garrett Cooper is a very reliable bat, and he makes a big play here in the bottom of the 4th inning to finally get the Marlins on the board. We've been waiting for some offense in this game, and it's Cooper who delivers first for the Marlins, who now lead 1-0. The rest of the inning would go pretty quietly as Brian De La Cruz pops out into shallow center, caught by Brandon Nimmo. Still a good inning for the Marlins as they're on the board with a solo homer by Garrett Cooper. He's an impending free agent this offseason, and if he plays well this year, he could make himself a lot of money. Let's move into the 5th, see if Sandy Alcantara can continue his dominance as he starts with Brandon Nimmo, who goes down looking on the 12-6 curve. Another strikeout for Alcantara, his 4th of the ballgame so far. That'll bring up Brett Beatty, the young third baseman, and he goes down on the circle change. Another strikeout for Alcantara. We'll see if he can strike out the side. It's Mark Canha up to the plate. Count is full. Pitch on its way. Got him on the sinker. Sandy Alcantara strikes out the side. He is looking dominant through 5 innings as the Marlins still lead 1-0. We'll see if they can look to extend their lead here in the bottom half of the inning. Yuli Gurriel, the 2-time World Series champion, is up for the Marlins. He goes down looking on the slider. Nice pitch from Justin Verlander, trying to get back into a groove after allowing that home run, as he'll face off against the young catcher Nick Fortes, who recorded a base hit in his last at-bat. Full count pitch. Fortes hits this one high and very deep. This one into left center field, and that ball is out of here. Solo home run for Nick Fortes, his first of the year, and the Marlins extend their lead as they are now up 2-0. Really good to see Nick Fortes swinging the bat well early. 2 for 2 with a single and a home run. This is a guy who I really think can be a foundational building block within this team. And he makes a big play to extend Miami's lead. Just a beautiful swing, and that one went a long way in a left center field for the 25-year-old catcher. So the Marlins are up 2-0. They're really starting to hit the ball well off of Justin Verlander. We'll see if the Marlins can keep it going. That'll bring us back to the top of the order. Luis Arraez is up for the Marlins, and he lines this one into center. That'll go for a hit. Arraez has made a very nice first impression here with the Marlins, as he's currently 3 for 3 in his team debut. Talk about a start for Luis Arraez in his Miami Marlin career. That'll bring up Gene Segura. Count is full. He strikes out on the 12-6 curve. That would have easily been a walk had he not swung. But nonetheless, the Marlins extend their lead off of the homer by the catcher, Nick Fortes. Let's go into the 6th inning. Sandy Alcantara at 76 pitches, showing no signs of slowing down as he strikes out Omar Narvaez on the sinker, his 7th strikeout of the ballgame. That'll bring up Starling Marte. Count is full. He hits this one well into right. Just the 2nd base hit of the entire game so far for the Mets, as Marte will make his way sliding into second safely for a double. New York now has a runner in scoring position. We'll see if they can finally get on the board. That'll bring up Luis Guillorme. Hits this one into the left center gap, and that one's going to drop. Marte will score easily, and the Mets are on the board as Guillorme makes his way to second for a double, and it is now a 2-1 ball game. So this one just got real interesting. The Mets finally score, and they've got an opportunity to potentially tie the game with Guillorme on third. Full count, 2 away, strikeout. Alonso swings and misses on the slider. Alcantara does allow a run, but nothing more as the Marlins hold on to their lead 2-1. It'll be interesting to see if the Marlins make a pitching change going into the 7th inning, or if they are going to stick with Alcantara. Speaking of pitching changes, the Mets will not make one. Justin Verlander's gotten rocked these last couple of innings. I feel like maybe they should consider taking him out as he walks Jazz Chisholm to start things off. That'll bring up Garrett Cooper, who homered in his last at-bat. This one hit off the bat weakly, but it goes into right for a hit. The Marlins have 7 hits today, and they're all by 3 players. Cooper has 2, Fortes has 2, Arraez has 3, and nobody else has 1. So from there, Justin Verlander will be taken out of the game. I feel like they should have done that before he allowed 2 base runners to start the inning, but whatever. Verlander looked like his Cy Young self through the first 3 innings, but the Marlins offense has made some plays with the homers by Cooper and Fortes, now getting 2 runners aboard here to start the 6th, as John Curtis will come into the ballgame to replace Verlander. Curtis finished with a 3.45 ERA in just over 44 innings a season ago. And we'll see what he can do here in a little bit of the jam with 2 runners aboard and a huge opportunity for Jesus Sanchez to potentially make a play as he's got a full count. Lines it to short. What a play! Francisco Lindor with an incredible catch. That ball was going to drop, and that would have scored at least 1. So Lindor probably saved a run. And Jazz Chisholm does a good job of quickly going back to second as well before the possibility of a double play. That'll bring up the designated hitter, Yuli Gurriel. 2 on, 2 out, full count. Pitch on its way, swinging a miss on the fastball. So the Marlins are unable to score anybody here in the 6th, despite starting with 2 early base runners. Sandy Alcantara still in the game here in the 7th as he faces off against Francisco Lindor to lead off the inning. And Lindor hits it well into center for a single. Alcantara kind of got rocked a little bit in the 6th, and with him allowing an early base runner here in the 7th, the Skip Shoemaker will likely come out onto the field to take Alcantara out of the game. A very solid opening day start for the A's, however. 6 innings, 1 earned run so far. He was dominant through the first 5 innings, but he kind of slipped a little bit since the start of the 6th. but still a very solid start to the season for Sandy Alcantara, who looks to possibly make a run at a second consecutive Cy Young title. Coming out of the bullpen for the Marlins will be the recent trade acquisition, A.J. Puk. 3 of the Mets' next 4 batters are left-handed hitters, so the Marlins decide to bring their best lefty reliever out of the pen. Puk finished with a 3.12 ERA in just over 66 innings last year with the Oakland Athletics. He'll strike out Brandon Nimmo, who goes down looking on the circle change. Good start to the inning for Puk, looking to really break out here in Miami. Brett Beatty strikes out on the slider. So far, the lefty-on-lefty matchups have certainly favored Puk, as that will bring up Mark Canha, the 1-2. Grounder to short. Wendell fields it cleanly, makes the play to first. Good job out of the bullpen by A.J. Puk, as it remains a 2-1 ball game here in the bottom of the 7th. I'm sure the Marlins would love to add some more insurance runs here in this inning. A 1-run lead I don't think they're comfortable with. The veteran David Robertson is in for the Mets. He was pretty solid last year, 2.4 ERA. He's been a pretty reliable bullpen arm for multiple major league teams over a decade at this point. He's facing off against Nick Fortes, who's had a big game today, 2 for 2 of a single and a homer. But this time, Fortes goes down looking on the knuckle curve. That was a beautiful pitch. I'm surprised he didn't swing at it. Avisail Garcia comes in off the bench as a pinch hitter for Joey Wendell. Full count pitch. Garcia rips it down the line and fair. Avisail Garcia starts the season off strong with a base hit. Garcia was very disappointing last year. Sub 600 OPS. That's pretty terrible. We're certainly hoping he can do better this season. That'll bring up Luis Arraez, who is 3 for 3 so far in this ball game. Arraez pops this one up. Is it going to drop? Not quite. Brandon Nimmo makes a really nice grab for the second out of the inning. Arraez no longer has a perfect batting average of 1,000. Into the 8th inning now, Matt Barnes is into the game. The veteran reliever has been with the Red Sox over the past few years, acquired via trade in the offseason, hoping to be a stable force in the bullpen, despite the fact that he wasn't all that good last year. The pinch hitter, Eduardo Escobar, gets things started with an early walk, so the Mets get themselves a base runner. That'll bring up Starling Marte, lines it to first. Nice play by Cooper, who could have tagged the runner had he turned quick enough, but that still is a nice play for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Luis Guillorme, who drove in a run in his last at-bat, grounds it to first. Cooper to Iglesias, over to the pitcher Barnes. A 3-6-1 double play. Good job by the Marlins defense as we go to the bottom of the 8th. The lefty, Brooks Raley, is in for New York. He was fantastic last year. 2.7 ERA, sub-1 whip. Really, really good stuff as he faces off against Jazz. Chisholm crushes it into right field with the bat flip. And the Marlins lead it 3-1. A beautiful swing by Jazz Chisholm, the face of this organization, crushes a homer to put the Marlins back up by 2. It's funny, right when the Mets put a lefty in the game, a guy in Chisholm who struggles against left-handed pitching absolutely mashes that one after he really hadn't done all that much today against the right-handed pitchers he's faced. He does the Euro step at home plate, and the Marlins lead 3-1. There's a reason why this team is so excited about building around Jazz Chisholm, and it's because of that beautiful swing and, of course, the awesome bat flip as well, as that one nearly goes into the second deck, just a bit short. That'll bring up Jorge Soler coming in off the bench. He rakes against lefties with a 99 power rating. He got a little bit excited there as he swings a little too early on the low slider. 2 away now for Brian De La Cruz, who's gotten off to a quiet start this year, currently 0 for 3, but he draws a walk on the low cutter. The Marlins looking to extend this lead even more going into the 9th inning, as that'll bring up Yuli Gurriel, who also has had a quiet opening day, 0 for 3 currently. He draws a walk as well. Brooks Raley has lost all command of the strike zone. He walks 2 consecutive batters, and that'll bring up the catcher Nick Fortes, homered earlier today, and he homers again! A no-doubter for Nick Fortes, making a statement here on opening day. The Marlins now lead this game 6-1. Talk about a season opener for Nick Fortes. 3 for 4, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, including a potentially game-clinching 3-run shot here in the bottom of the 8th. Brooks Raley cannot even make it out of the inning. He'll be replaced by Drew Smith. He'll face off against Jose Iglesias, who entered as a defensive substitution earlier in the inning. Pops out to right. It is caught, but still a big-time inning for the Marlins with a solo homer by Jazz Chisholm and a 3-run shot by Nick Fortes, his second homer of the ball game. So originally, the closer, Dylan Flora, was supposed to enter the game here, but since it's no longer a save situation, it'll be J.T. Chargois who enters instead. 2.42 ERA last year with the Rays as he faces off against Pete Alonso with one away. Alonso hits it into the gap. That'll go for extra bases as he makes his way over to second, sliding safely. So the Mets have a runner in scoring position. It looks like they're not going to quit quite yet. With Alonso in scoring position, that'll bring up Brandon Nimmo. The Mets down to their final strike as it's a grounder over to Jose Iglesias. Makes the play to first, and this game is over. The Miami Marlins take home opening day 6-1. This game was a lot closer than the score suggested. We were only up 2-1 going into the bottom of the 8th inning, but the big home run by Nick Fortes ultimately iced the game. Fortes was phenomenal offensively today. 3 for 4, 2 homers, 4 RBIs. Sandy Alcantara gets the win. 6 innings, 1 earned run allowed. Justin Verlander, meanwhile, takes the loss, allowing 2 runs in a little over 5 innings. The Mets just did not hit the ball well, particularly early. Their offense played a little bit better as of late, but it was not enough to stop the Marlins, who hit 4 home runs today. We got nothing going either through our first 3 innings, but we got some early homers in the 4th and the 5th, and then obviously in the 8th inning, we iced it with the homers by Chisholm and Fortes. Sandy Alcantara was great. The bullpen was great. All around, really solid win to start the 2023 campaign. We'll see if we can keep it going through these next few games. We're going to simulate the rest of this series against New York, followed by a 3-game set at home against the Twins, along with a 3-game series on the road against the Mets, once again leading us to a 3-game series against the Phillies. During the stretch that we simulated, we only went 3-6. We split the first series against the Mets, but we then only won 1 of 3 against Minnesota, and we only won 1 of 3 on the road against New York. I think the big thing so far has been that we are 2-0 when Sandy Alcantara pitches, and we are 2-6 when he does not pitch. I guess that shouldn't really be a major surprise, but hopefully we can do a little bit better in games that he's not playing. Going to simulate this first game against the Phillies, and we lose 5-0. A rare Sandy L. I wanted to play this second game and take a look at Trevor Rogers, the young lefty. So we'll see what he can do here at Citizens Bank Ballpark against the defending National League champion Philadelphia Phillies in an NL East showdown. The Marlins have gotten off to a pretty disappointing start this year at 4-7. As for the Phillies, obviously no Bryce Harper, he's still hurt. The former Marlin, JT Realmuto, is also getting the day off. Aaron Nola starting for the Phillies. In 2 starts, he's 0-2, but he's been pretty good with an ERA of 3. Nola's a free agent this offseason and should command a lot of money as one of the better pitchers in baseball. With 2 away, Jazz Chisholm pops it up into center field in the air for a while before being hauled in by the rookie, Dalton Guthrie. On the mound for the Marlins is the young lefty Trevor Rogers, who, despite not having a win, has also pitched quite well through 2 starts with an ERA at 1.54 and a whip barely above 1. The first batter, Alec Bohm, bloops it into right, and that'll drop for a base hit. The Phillies open up the day with an early base runner. We'll see if they can get some runs across here in the first inning. 2 gone now for Kyle Schwarber. We'll see if Rogers can wrap up the inning. Not quite, as that one gets by Luis Arraez for a single. So the Titans now have 2 runners aboard and 2 out. That'll bring up Nick Castellanos, who strikes out on the 2-seam fastball. Trevor Rogers does allow a couple of base runners, but nobody scores as we go into the top of the second. Jorge Soler rips it to third, and it is caught by Alec Bohm. Good defensive play there by Bohm. That'll bring up Yuli Gurriel. He's gotten off to a decent start this year, hitting .263. The 1-2 pitch, swinging a miss on the fastball. 2 perfect innings so far for Aaron Nola, and we'll see if the Phillies can get some offense going here in the bottom of the second. Rhys Hoskins starts off by swinging and missing at the circle change, staring the pitcher back as he goes to the dugout. That'll bring up Dalton Guthrie, who rips it into left center field, and that one hops off the wall. Chisholm gets to it quickly, but Guthrie is safe at second with a double, and the Phillies now the runner in scoring position with only 1 away. That will bring up Bryson Stott, the designated hitter. Hits it up the middle, in between Rogers' legs for a single. Guthrie looks to score. Really solid throw by Chisholm, but Guthrie slides safely at home, and the Phillies lead 1-0 off of an RBI single by Bryson Stott, who's looking to steal second. Won't really matter, though, as Bohm grounds out to third. The former Philly, Gene Segura, throws him out. That'll wrap up the bottom of the second. The Phils on the board with an RBI single by Bryson Stott as they lead 1-0. Into the third, here is Nick Fortes up for the Marlins, and he goes down looking. That pitch looked like a ball, but he does not get the call. Jose Iglesias batting in the 9 spot today. Dribbles this one to short with 2 away, and the play is made. Good defense out there at shortstop by Trey Turner, the big-time free agent signing. The Marlins with no base runners here through the first 3 innings. Edmundo Sosa strikes out on the circle change to start the bottom of the third. That'll bring up Trey Turner, who strikes out as well. Trevor Rogers has gotten off to a pretty solid start today. He's allowed a few base runners, but for the most part, he's been pretty good. Into the fourth, 2 away for Jazz Chisholm. Checks his swing. Did he go around? The umpire says no, and that is how the Marlins are finally able to get their first base runner of the day. That'll bring up Jorge Soler, swinging a miss on the knuckle curve. 4 no-hit innings for Aaron Nola so far. He's gotten off to a phenomenal start for the Phillies. Nick Castellanos swings and misses on the 2-seam fastball. Trevor Rogers really looks comfortable right now. He's gotten into a groove, pitching well at the moment as he strikes out Rhys Hoskins, who swings way too early on the circle change. Into the 5th, Gene Segura, who has spent the last 4 seasons with the Phillies, grounds it over to third, and Bohm makes a really nice play. The no-hitter still alive with a great grab by Alec Bohm. That'll bring up the catcher, Nick Fortes, with 2 away and a 2-2 count. Pitch on its way from Nola. Fortes clobbers it into left field. That one will go off the wall. The Marlins finally get a base hit as Fortes slides safely into second with a double. It took nearly 5 innings, but the Marlins have a base hit, and they've got an opportunity to score with Fortes at second base. Jesus Sanchez then draws a walk. So there's 2 on and 2 out. Huge opportunity for Jose Iglesias, who weakly grounds it to third. Alec Bohm makes the play pretty easily. So the Marlins are starting to get some base runners together, but they're not able to capitalize yet as we go into the bottom of the 5th. The catcher, Garrett Stubbs, draws a walk. Stubbs getting the start today for JT Realmuto, the former Miami Marlin. Alec Bohm then rips it into left field. That one goes off the wall. Bohm looking to head to second for a double. And the Philadelphia Phillies now have 2 runners in scoring position. They've got to capitalize here and extend their lead. We'll see if Trevor Rogers can get out of this jam as Edmundo Sosa grounds it to second. Luis Ariz makes the play, but the Phillies do score a run. And they'll take a 2-0 lead with Bohm advancing to third for Trey Turner, who hits it high and deep into right field at the track at the wall. It is caught. Nice grab by Jesus Sanchez running into the wall, making an incredible defensive play, saving a run from being scored. But the Phillies do add another one across, and they lead 2-0 as we go into the 6th. Luis Ariz has gotten off to a pretty disappointing season. He had 3 hits on opening day and only has 3 hits since. Speaking of hits, he gets hit by the pitch. Ariz clearly pissed off at Nola, but nonetheless, the Marlins open up the inning with a base runner. And it's not going to last long as Cooper grounds it to short. 6-4-3, double play. The Marlins just keep shooting themselves in the foot today. Bottom 6, Rogers still in the game as he strikes out Kyle Schwarber on the fastball. 2 away now for Rhys Hoskins, the 1-1. Grounded to short, Iglesias makes the play. That'll wrap up the inning, and that'll wrap up Trevor Rogers' night. 6 innings, 104 pitches, and 2 earned runs. Overall, a pretty solid performance for the young lefty. The problem is the offense has been a complete no-show today. Into the 7th, Nola still in for the Phillies as he allows an early single to Jorge Soler. The Marlins open up the inning with a base runner as that will bring up Nola's former teammate Gene Segura. His 123rd pitch of the night is a walk. With his pitch count that high up, the Phillies got to make a pitching change, and that's what they'll do with Connor Brogdon into the game. In just under 10 innings, Brogdon has not allowed a run this year. He's been very efficient as he faces off against Yuli Gurriel, the designated hitter. 2-1, nobody out. Perfect opportunity to get back in the game or ground into another double play. That was nearly a triple play. Had Bohm tagged the runner going to third, the Phillies could have had the ultra-rare triple play. Runner on third. 2 away for Nick Fortes, the catcher. This one is hit high and deep into left center field. Go, ball, go! That's going to drop for an extra base hit. Jorge Soler will score. It's an RBI double for Nick Fortes, who continues to be a major bright spot in today's episode as the Marlins are finally on the board. It's now 2-1. That'll bring up Jesus Sanchez, hitting under 200 through the first 10-plus games of the year. Trying to make a big play offensively to potentially tie it. Jams it into left. It goes pretty deep, but it is going to be caught. Not a horrible inning. The Marlins do get back on the board with an RBI double by Nick Fortes, but they've still got some groundwork to make up. The lefty, Tanner Scott, checks into the game for the Marlins here in the bottom of the 7th. He's allowed 1 run in 6 innings so far as he faces off against Bryson Stott with 2 away, who flies it into left. Jorge Soler makes the play pretty easily. We've got ourselves a very close game going into the 8th inning. The Philadelphia Phillies lead it 2-1. We'll see if the Marlins can make a comeback or if the Phillies can take the win. After an uneventful top of the 8th, we'll go into the bottom half of the inning with Steven Okert, the lefty, in the game for Miami. He'll face off against Alec Bohm, who grounds it past the diving glove of Joey Wendell for a base hit. So the Phillies start the inning off with a runner on base, looking to extend their lead here as we wind down on this ball game. Trey Turner singles into left, so with 1 away, Philadelphia now has 2 runners on. Big opportunity to look to make this lead a bigger one. Kyle Schwarber up next for the Phils. This one is weakly grounded to third. Segura tries to tag the base. He doesn't in time. Everybody is safe. And now the bases are loaded. Gotta make a heads-up play there if you're Gene Segura. So with that, Steven Okert will be taken out of the game. He'll be replaced by Matt Barnes, who has not allowed a run so far in 5.2 innings, as he faces off against Nick Castellanos, who weakly pops this one up into a shallow outfield. That ball in the air for a while as it's caught by Sanchez. Runners will not tag up, which is smart. They would have been out by a mile. So the bases are loaded. 2 away. Big opportunity for Rhys Hoskins, and he capitalizes with a single into left. 1 run scores. The speedster Trey Turner will score as well. It's a 2-run single for Rhys Hoskins, and the Phillies lead it 4-1. Big-time play for Hoskins, who's fired up, as that'll bring up Dalton Guthrie. He goes down looking. That'll wrap up the 8th inning. The Phillies extend their lead by driving in 2 off of a big-time single by Rhys Hoskins, and Philadelphia leads by 3 going into the final inning. The closer, Sir Anthony Dominguez, is into the game for the first time this year. Finished with an ERA of exactly 3 in 51 innings last year. He'll start by facing off against Jazz Chisholm, who's been pretty quiet today, 0 for 2 with a walk. He goes down looking on the fastball. That pitch low and outside, right on the corner of the strike zone. That'll bring up Jorge Soler, one of the few Marlins with a base hit today. Nearly gets another one, but Trey Turner makes a nice play at short. And now there's 2 away. The game comes down to the former Philly, Gene Segura, hitting right around 200 this year as he swings and misses on the slider. This one is over. The Phillies take it home 4-1. And the Marlins' early season struggles continue as they fall to a record of 4-8. The offense was completely abysmal today. 1 run, 3 hits. Nick Fortes had 2 hits, and the rest of the team only had 1. That's terrible. The big reason why I picked the Marlins for franchise this year is because their lineup is bad and they're old. And so far this year, they have been really bad and, well, obviously they're really old. So they have completely proven me correct in my evaluation. The pitching was good. Trevor Rogers had a really nice day, but he was slightly outdueled by Aaron Nola, and the Phillies bullpen was a little bit better down the stretch. We'll simulate this next week. 1 more game against the Phillies, which we lose, but then we sweep the Diamondbacks. I do not care if they are 3-16. A sweep is a sweep. We would then take 1 of 3 against the Giants, putting us as a record of 8-11, which is good enough for 3rd in the division. So far, the mediocre Mets are really living up to their name. So next episode, we're going to go through the end of April and the early portion of May. I've got some stuff that I'm working on behind the scenes with some storylines and possible twists that I'm excited to share out within the next couple of episodes. So make sure to stay tuned. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new for more MLB The Show 23 Marlins franchise. Don't forget to use code Octagonal Gaming, $20 off your first SeatGeek order. Peace out.